Okay, I'm back with another video. This microphone's been giving me a little bit of trouble, so I've had to redo this a couple times already. Just the beginning. Okay, seems like it's working, so I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm not gonna touch it, because I think that's the problem. Because it's just making me upset. I knew it was not working, I could tell. It's not my microphone, so I hope that you like the microphone. I am borrowing it, and I might get one of my own. But I just lit some Palo Santo, and I was showing you in the video that didn't have sound. And it's not really smoky anymore, but we did cleanse the area. Can light just a tiny bit more, and don't be worried, I do this all the time, so we're safe with fire. So just lighting it a tiny bit. It's not really lighting. Let's see. Okay, it's just lighting a tiny bit. I don't know if you can see. And it smells amazing, and I have my window open, so I just feel the need to say that. I said that in the lost recording too. I don't know. Just don't want you to think I'm over here inhaling a bunch of smoke, because I wouldn't do that. Not that it matters that much, but it's just true. So yeah, if you hear any weird sounds, it's because my window's open. But okay, to the point of the video now. But yeah, I had a lot that I wanted to speak about, and okay, I'm gonna stop checking the microphone. I'm gonna trust that it's working, and if it's not, then I don't know, I'm not gonna touch it. So yeah, there's a lot that I want to speak about, and I haven't made a recording in a little bit. I want anyone who's here to know that I only make them when I feel like I have something to say. So if I ever am gone for a while, I don't want to just spew out random videos on this channel, because that's not why I made the channel. I don't have any motive behind the channel besides just sharing my own wisdom. And even if I had some other motive behind the channel, like, it's not wrong if people have different motives, but that's not the point of my channel. I really want to keep it very real in terms of, just being there for, just kind of expressing wisdom when it comes to me and things that I find important in authentic timing. So instead of like forcing myself to think of an idea for a video, that's not what I do. I just speak out whatever I've been noticing in life as of late, so which is usually quite a lot. Don't mind the background sound. Sometimes it really gets to me, but we're gonna just be real. Not that okay. I'm gonna take a pause here, have a sip of my lemon ginger tea in my cow mug. Okay. That was unnecessarily loud, but alright, I'm gonna get to the point. But, I did meditate before this video too, and I feel like I want to do that more, because I want these to always be very honest and open. That's what the point is of them. So I have noticed lately that your body speaks to you through feeling, and this may be obvious to some people, but I don't mean it in a general way. I mean that I've noticed myself in my personal life and the things that have gone on in the life that I've lived up until now, that I tend to feel a lot of like irritation and anger, a lot, like truly sometimes every day, waking up just very on edge and agitated and irritated just by like my environment or the people that I'm around. And, for a long time, I was really wrestling with myself about it, saying, okay, I need to stop feeling like this. I need to stop feeling like this, trying to kind of change how I felt instead of listening to how I felt. Because I know that anger and irritation is speaking to me. It is telling me something about my environment. It's telling me something about my relationships. It's also telling me something about myself in relation to those things. It's myself in relation to those things. How those things are making me feel and affecting me. And my reactions and responses to those things, how I feel, says a lot. It speaks to me about what the nature of my relation with this person, place, or thing is. So I've started to just kind of try to pay more attention to that and say, okay, I feel really irritated by, this person or situation or environment. And I think that a lot of the time, at least for me, maybe other people are this way, you think to yourself, how do I stop feeling like this? Or how do I change my feelings in accordance to the situation? I'm sure not everybody feels that way, but if you kind of were created to be passive or have passive tendencies from your upbringing or your environment, like I personally have dealt with, you do feel like, how do I adjust myself to the situation? How do I make myself mold into it better when I really don't need to mold into it at all? Obviously, it's not for me to mold into if I don't feel right within it and I don't feel good within it. It's not for me. And we don't have to force things that aren't for us. You don't have to force things that don't feel good and don't feel right to you, because those things aren't for you. That isn't to say that, every time you don't feel well in a situation, like, for example, a relationship, that's always the case, but I think sometimes, a lot of the time, it can be when you continually feel a certain way. It's like the body does speak. It speaks a lot through feeling. And it's like anything. I mean, there's medical conditions where people have not so great like their hunger responses are off because of hormones, but if that isn't most people, that's not the case, and it's even like that, which I don't mean to be so general, but what I'm trying to say is, I think about this stuff a lot, where somebody with my specific past, I used to have a lot of issues around food and eating, and sort of had some disordered eating, sort of had some like binge eating, restrictive eating problems, and at a certain point, I just kind of really gave up with worrying about that stuff for years, because it's what I needed to do for myself. That stuff at the time for me wasn't working. Like any worrying at all about what I was eating wasn't working for me for a long time, because of that tendency to not listen to my body on both sides of the coin. Not listening when I'm hungry and my body is clearly telling me that I'm hungry, but not listening, and vice versa. The same thing, vice versa. Again, this is a kind of random example, and I hope that it makes sense. And again, I know some people don't have that ability where they have like an actual medical problem where they can't sense that, but I'm just using it kind of as an example where I've noticed that in my life as well, in accordance to my life. you know. And I'm actually going to read a little bit from a section from my journal that I wrote about this, because I probably explained it better there. Because sometimes I'm really worried that I'm not making sense when I'm speaking, but I did write about this in my Lord of the Rings journal. But, okay. I wrote, I try to see my anger as a sacred emotion, a sacred messenger, revealing all that is not rooted in love and truth. Sometimes I feel uncomfortable from all this anger, tension, frustration, irritation, but it illuminates things that are not done with goodness or from goodness or truth or love. The body holds all wisdom through feeling. It speaks to me through feeling. And what I really meant by that was me sort of noticing the behaviors of some of the people that I'm around, and my reactions to it, you know. And I've struggled a lot with questioning myself, and having trust in myself has been a struggle for me for years. I'm still struggling with it at times, and I'm still in the process of learning to fully trust myself, or at least trust myself a lot more than I do. But I think when you don't trust yourself, you don't trust how things make you feel, and you sort of feel like you're the problem about in every situation, because you just feel like, okay, well, obviously because I'm angry and upset, I must be the problem, when in reality you're more than likely reacting to something that isn't right. What's happening isn't right, and you know it's not. And it's very easy to just ignore things like that, even in our own lives. And that's something I've thought about extensively recently, is ignoring the things that I don't align with, or ignoring the presence of things that I don't align with in my own life is not the way to go. But you see people do it a lot. Like, for example, you know, you hear of somebody who has somebody in their life who's really treating them badly, but they still keep this person around. Or they're at a job that's treating them really badly, and they stay at this job. Now, obviously, there is scenarios where people feel like they're sort of stuck in a situation, and I don't want to be unempathetic towards that. But I mean, more in situations where people just get really comfortable with how things are, which I've been there, and I'm speaking from my own personal experience here. You know, I got really comfortable in a situation where it was not good for me at all. It was just not good for me. It wasn't bringing anything good into my life, and I was feeling those emotions, those feelings of frustration and self-disdain, irritation, confusion even. You start to really question yourself, I think, when you're in very toxic environments, and around people that are very toxic. And I know that word's thrown around a lot, and I don't want to ever, like, just label everything as toxic, or say that people are just one thing, because they're not, or that situations are just one thing, because they're not. If they were, it would be very easy to walk away from things, wouldn't it? That's the whole thing. Nothing's ever fully toxic, but it's like 80% toxic, or 70% toxic, or 60% toxic, and you stay because of the 40% that isn't, you know, is better for you, or whatever. I mean, I'm talking about more situations where the odds are a little bit higher, I guess. And this is why I say that the body speaks through feeling, because your body tells you when it's time to leave situations. Your body tells you what to do about things. And you could call this intuition. I mean, yes, it is intuition. There's a word for it. But I think it goes even beyond intuition, because some people just don't always trust their intuition, or they think that it's like a small part of their self, but the rest of them they can't really trust. You know, at least that's how I would think of it. Like, oh, it's just my intuition. You know, it's a tiny little thing in my head, but, you know, The rest of me doesn't really know what it's talking about. But it does. It does. And you know the truth for yourself. You know your truth for yourself. And, sometimes you have to just let other people be wrong about you. You do. I've had to. Very recently in my life. Allow people to just be totally wrong. Because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth proving yourself to people who are never going to get out of their ideas of you, because that's what makes them feel bigger and better. They don't feel safe to see you for what you really are. So they need to make you smaller to them, and verbally try to make you seem smaller or make you feel smaller so that they feel bigger, But those aren't the kind of people you should be around. And I'm telling you as a cautionary tale to not be around that. It's very important because there's so much, lack of a better word, like BS that just flies all the time. And it's because people let it fly. They let it slide. Personally, me, I don't. And that's just who I've kind of become over the years. Because I know that I deserve better. I know that I give my all to everything that I do. I know that I try my best with everything that I do. I know that I make an effort to better myself at all times. Not that I'm better than anybody, but I am better than myself a month ago, or a year ago, or 2 years ago. I know that I always try to consider how other people feel, and so therefore, not because of anything external about me, not because of my physical appearance or what I have material-wise or money-wise or anything else doesn't make me worthy, but I'm worthy because of those things about myself, because I know that I show up. I show up for myself. I show up for the people that matter to me. I show up for the people who show up for me. And the people that don't show up for me, I don't show up for them, because I won't give my energy away like that. My energy's precious to me. I'm not going to give it to people who don't care. I'm not going to give it to people who want to use it against me. And there are people who will. And it's hard to accept that, I think, when you're somebody who I identify being this way, and I'm sure many of you watching do, that you just are somebody who you want to see the good in everybody. You want to believe that people are generally good. You want to believe that most people are good, that most people care about other people's feelings and all these things. But that's a person-to-person case, whether somebody's like that or not. And, it's like you want to feel like you want to give people the benefit of the doubt, And that's a great thing to think that way, but I think sometimes it can work against you when you don't have this respect for yourself first, which is very important. You need to come first in your own life, and that's just true. And I think that there's a lot of people, or I think it's a societal thing that's been taught, especially towards women, but people in general, all types of people, that this martyr, that it's a good thing to be a martyr, or that you should be, it's noble. And I'm not saying that it's not in some cases, but I'm saying that a lot of people don't want that, and they're just trying to tell themselves that that's what they want. I don't want that, to be honest with you. If I could give my life and make the world different, maybe I would. But what I mean is people who don't actually feel that way. but they kind of do it because they think they're supposed to. That's not what you're supposed to do. You were given life. You were given life for a reason, because it's yours. So there's no point in wasting your time trying to act like somebody you're not, you know. And I mean, I don't waste any time doing that. I could do that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Certain things in my life would probably be easier for me if I just put on a fake face or just acted fake to certain people. I'm gonna be honest, like, my life as of now, my physical life, I'm not saying that appearances are everything, or what your life looks like is what's actually happening for you, or that the things that you're, for lack of a better word, manifesting in your life aren't there, because they are. The things that you're manifesting do exist already. The things I'm manifesting exist already, and I know that, so that's why I don't freak myself out about trying to do things that I don't want to do, and I know I don't have to do. But yeah, what your life looks like is not what's truly being sown, because you reap what you sow, and in a good way. My life in the flesh could be easier, more than likely, if I acted like somebody I'm not, but I refuse to do that because it's not who I am. If I just laid down and allowed specific people in my life to do whatever they want, take my energy, take my time, as they please, then my life would probably be easier, because they'd probably be nicer to me, or there'd be less tension. But I refuse, because I respect myself too much to do that. I have too much self-respect. I have respect for who I've become. I have respect for the fact that every day I do give everything that I have to better my life, so that I can possibly better other people's lives. I have too much respect for who I am. And you should respect who you are, and your body speaks to you about people, about situations. Your mind can lie to you, I think. Your mind can lie. Your thoughts can lie. Thoughts are very random a lot of the time. I personally get very intrusive thoughts. Like, very, very intrusive. And I'm sure that many of you do. I don't wish that on anybody, but I know that's a decently common, experience. It used to be incredibly distressing for me, for a long time. Okay, I had to pause the video for a second. And fear is a human only, not human only, but a feeling and a concept and an experience that only exists on this plane of existence. There is really no such thing as fear at all. And these are just things that I don't know if they sound like they make sense, but they're things that I have sort of had revealed to me when I've meditated, and I'm positive that many people have probably had that same realization to some degree or another. But as of recently, I was very, very... I just want to close out by speaking about this. But recently I was very deep into meditation, and I just kind of felt like I had, certain things just kind of revealed to me through that meditation. And, you can believe me or not, or if it resonates with you or not, but I'm just going to speak from my my personal true experience, and why I'm saying that fear does not exist. But, I just sort of saw this vision of what we truly are. Like we're just sort of one being. We're all just sort of one being together. And, these people that we are, these bodies, these identities, these emotions, fear, these are all things that make us real. They're what make us real. If we didn't have fear, if we didn't have bodies and emotions, we wouldn't be people. We would just be spirit. We would just be our most natural and true selves. But it's what I'm trying to say is that when I was having this experience and I could feel that these things were true. I could truly, in the deepest parts of me, feel this. It wasn't anything being said to me. I wasn't listening to a lecture, reading anything, taking in information that way. This was coming through me. I was truly experiencing this and also seeing different things that went along with the experience, but it was the feeling that I felt. The feeling is what made me know that what I was experiencing was the truth. And the thing that was going to block me from fully accepting that, probably in my waking life for most of the time, is fear. Because we don't exist without fear. And the reason for that is this world and this life that we're in is like yin and yang. There has to be a negative and a positive. And that's what makes us real. We aren't really real without that other side to the coin. That's what makes us dimensional. Because if we are just the light that we truly are, there's no experience of humanity. There's no human experience at all. It's all a wash. Which is what I believe and feel we go back to in the end. It's where we also came from. But in this middle, if you want to call it a middle, I don't know how long this story of humanity goes, or I shouldn't say humanity, but what we really are beyond that. So when I saw things that way, I had to kind of embrace these feelings, and just kind of move with them, but also understand that they are, this whole experience is for you to experience, yourself in life, and experience yourself through life. So if you keep that in mind, and, that's why I wanted to speak about your body speaks to you through feeling, because I think that's where our true deepest wisdom comes from. It doesn't come from any book or anything else, because feeling is so spiritual. There's nothing more spiritual than feeling, because feeling is what we really are. It's just what I believe. Feeling is without physicality at all. It's without thought. It's without anything like that. So that's just what I want to speak about today. But I actually did pull a card before I started speaking. And the card says, what if your mess is your magic? What if they're two sides of the same door? And I just thought that was cool that that's what the card said, because that's sort of what I was speaking about. You think that this anger and irritation, or even sadness, any feeling like that you think is the problem, but the feeling isn't the problem. The feeling is a messenger. And you should listen to that feeling and ask yourself where it's coming from. And ask yourself what it's telling you about that situation, or about yourself in relation to that situation, or about that person, or about your relation with that person. So that's just what I wanted to speak about today, but I hope that it was helpful or made sense. But I'll be back when I have more to say, but that's just what I wanted to say today.